I achieved 1,500 nanograms per deciliter testosterone naturally. When I was 17, I would look like this. I developed like a woman through puberty. Done. So, what's wrong with seed oils? You've heard it before. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. Every single video I mention it. You've seen it everywhere on YouTube. They're fucking terrible. What the fuck what do they actually do? Why are seed oils bad, right? So this, we're not going to go into research papers. We're not going to look at like analysis and this new research paper came out. No, if you want to do that, like go look at other people. There's like a dozen, there's a billion people doing that, you know, these things. Let me tell you a story, right? So I grew up in Poland. My first 6 years I was in Poland and I'm from a Polish family, right? So we cooked in our house in a very Polish style, right? And then I went to Italy. And the way Polish families cook is they fry a lot. We fry a lot of meats, right? And unfortunately, we don't fry the meats on the good fats. We don't use beef tallows or like coconut oils or like ghee and these things, right? No, we fry them on the shittiest oils, on the cheapest things, because like it's a relatively poor country, or at least it was when I was there, right? So the culture is such that you fry your stuff on sunflower oil, on canola oil, these two mainly, right? Obviously, olive oil kind of comes in, but olive oil is also a little bit of a scam. If you go into the rabbit hole of looking at how olive oil is diluted with other, you know, rapeseed or canola oils, then, you know, it's like, I'm kind of careful with that shit, right? Now, I developed gyno, right? I was low energy, low testosterone, low... You see the fucking pictures, right? So you imagine how I felt, how I acted in the world, my fucking level of like fearlessness, my anxiety, whatever. Now, the thing is, Italian people, Italian guys, right? Guys my age and stuff, they weren't like this. They were slim, they were athletic, they were like aesthetic, they were healthy, right? They had good skin, they were confident, do you know what I mean? And also in like these... in the locker rooms, right? I've been to more gyms than I can think, right? In Poland, in the Netherlands, in Italy, whatever. And I always see this thing. I always see that, like in Poland, the fucking amount of gyno that is present among the population is next level. Now, obviously, I have an eye to this shit because I have gyno, right? So I look at people and I'm like, oh fuck, this guy's gyno. Do you know what I mean? And in Italy, there isn't that much gyno. People are, you know, especially younger people, they're in shape, man. They're fucking in shape. I remember in my whole year, there was, I believe, 126 people, something like this, 120, 140. There were three people, I was one of them, which were like overweight. Do you know what I mean? Maybe 3, 4, right? Now that I think about it, maybe like 6, but still, like less than 10%. Do you know what I mean? In Poland, like half of the people are overweight, right? Now, draw the correlation where you want, but the one thing that is a fact is that people use these things on a daily basis. I'm not talking about Mackies and like eating out and stuff. Obviously, it's present everywhere, these fucking oils, right? But I'm talking about the food you cook at home. I used to eat chicken that was fried in that, right? And it was used as a dressing. It's everywhere, man. And especially in Polish homes. And in Italy, it's not there. Italians, they bake and they grill very lightly on olive oil, right? It's still not ideal on olive oil because it becomes rancid. We're going to talk about it in a bit. But do with that information what you may. But this is what I realize. These are my, you know, my, and I've seen them because I've been hitting the gym religiously. Do you know what I mean? And here, there, in the Netherlands, whatever. And I've seen that correlation, especially the difference between Italy and Poland, right? Now, I want to say one more thing, right? So I talked about my experience in Poland, but you can actually extrapolate this to other places that use seed oils, right? So think about your Indian mates, think about your Chinese, Japanese, these cultures that use a lot of these seed oils, right? In South Korea, the birth rate is so low that like in 2 generations, basically the country is going to go to shit. Why do you think that is? Obviously, you know, people are working, etc., but people are just not fucking. People don't want to fuck. They don't have like the confidence to go out and to like, you know, the man doesn't have the confidence to go and pursue women and stuff. Do you know, it's his fucking job. Do you know what I mean? So, and Indians and all these cultures, right? Asians also reportedly have reportedly have smaller dicks, and Indians too. And like they don't know how to put on muscle. Indian genetics, right? Like these fucking brown genetics and stuff. Like, why do you think that is? It's not like they, you know, maybe yes, generation through generation of using these products, of using these oils, disturb their, you know, genetic changes. Remember, every single time you you change the way your genes are expressed, you're inducing epigenetic changes which can be passed on to further generations, right? So why do you think that is? Well, you know, obviously there's probably going to be a number of factors, but perhaps one of them is the diet. Perhaps their biochemistry is fucked, so they don't even want to, right? They're fine sticking and playing video games and watching porn, right? Because they don't have that will to go out there and like get shit done, to go out there and like talk to girls, right? Like have the confidence to make it sexual, have the confidence to do this and that, right? Because their biochemistry is fucked. Perhaps that's the reason, right? That's for you to decide, but I still wanted to like give you this other take. Think of Chinese cultures, think of especially Chinese and Indian and like Korean and Japanese, right? Where they use, I don't know about Japanese because they have like nice cars and stuff, so probably it's different, but you know, think about it this way, right? Like think about how the stereotypes of these cultures manifest, right? So why exactly are these oils bad, right? What happens? So when they extract that oil, when they cut the plants and stuff, they have to make it so that the smoking point, right? Let's say the destruction point of the oil is much higher, right? So they do it with three things actually, but the third one, fuck it. So the first thing, when they take sunflower, we're going to talk about sunflower and canola, right? Canola oil. What they do, step one, is they add hexane. What is hexane? It's a neurotoxic, right? It's literally a substance that causes neurotoxicity, okay? They need to do that because they need to turn the oil back into oil. It becomes gummy, right? Hexane. Okay, well, already there's a neurotoxic, right? Imagine what it does to the mitochondria if it causes like problems in the neuron mitochondria, okay? Imagine the other ones. Now, once the neurotoxin has been added, what they do is they do like a heat treatment. They heat that up to about 207 degrees Celsius, about 200, let's say 200, right? Thereabouts, 200 degrees Celsius. Now, originally, these flowers, the oil, the original product, has a smoking point of 106 degrees Celsius, right? These two, they have a smoking point equal to 106 or 107, whatever, degrees Celsius. And they heat it with 200 degrees Celsius. So what happens? It turns rancid. It turns fucked. Now, what happens when you ingest rancid oil? Maybe you've heard, like your grandmother was saying, don't smoke the oil, don't like, be careful on the oil, right? Now, when you do rancid oil, there's a shit ton of bad things, right? Oxidative stress caused by reactive oxygen species, whatever. Inflammation and other things, but these are obviously the most important for what we're interested in, right? This is the bane of existence, these fucking things. If you want to eat out, whatever, like you're with a girl, you're with friends, I'm not going to tell you like be a monk, do you know what I mean? But like just don't fucking use them at home and avoid them wherever possible, wherever you can. You know, let's live life, but like from my personal experience, every single time that I ingest some of these things, for some reason I feel slow, I feel fucked, you know, I feel like a loser, you know what I mean? I feel bad. And even if, let's say I eat like a cake that my mom made, right? Without this shit, on butter, eggs, but sugar, right? And a lot of fat, a lot of kilocalories. Yes, I'm slower and stuff, glucose spikes, but I don't feel bad. You know, I feel like full, I feel bloated maybe, but I don't feel like bad. And every time I eat that, I feel bad. Every single fucking time, right? So, let's end with a bit of a mechanism, right? So we talked about that. We talked about the story, the hexane and everything. Go look at some YouTubers that talk about studies if you want, right? But mechanistically, right? We like to do things mechanistically. Let's talk about what happens, right? So the first thing that happens is there's actually a lowered expression, genetic expression, so epigenetics, of the so-called star proteins. Lowered expression of star protein. That means less of the star protein is actually being made, right? What is star protein? Remember, when you want to make testosterone, you have to make cholesterol, you have to take cholesterol and you have to put it inside of the cell, right? Whether that's in the adrenals, whether that's in the testicles, but you have to put it in there, you have to force it in. And star protein is actually responsible for that, right? So when you have people that have extremely high cortisol levels, cholesterol, my bad, cholesterol. When you have people with extremely high cholesterol levels and low testosterone levels, one of the reasons is that this is malfunctioning. This is like the frog which zaps the cholesterol and forces it into the cell, right? So the more of this you have, the better, because then you decrease the cholesterol level in the blood, which signals back to the liver to synthesize more of it from acetyl-CoA, right? Upregulating metabolism. It's a huge chain, it's a huge reaction, right? It's extremely complex, and everything everything works with everything else. Do you know what I mean? Everything counts. Decreased expression of star protein. So let's talk about the rancid oils. Ingesting rancid oils leads to oxidative stress, leads to inflammation. What does that mean? That's damage to the Leydig cells. They produce less, right? It's damage to the hormonal signaling pathway, which actually tells your Leydig cells to produce, right? What is the hormonal signaling? It starts here in the brain through this thing called kisspeptin. Kisspeptin stimulates gonadotropin releasing hormone, right? Let's do it here. Kisspeptin, right? Increases, stimulates gonadotropin releasing hormone. And this also stimulates, right? Plus, this then stimulates luteinizing hormone, right? And luteinizing hormone goes into the testicles and stimulates testosterone, right? That's how it works. That's the mechanism. Now, that thing disturbs the production of kisspeptin. It also disturbs this whole process. There's less kisspeptin, so less GnRH, less LH, and so less signaling to make testosterone. Okay? That's something else. What about oxidative stress? The Leydig cells are damaged. Not only is the signaling damaged, but also the Leydig cells themselves are damaged, so they can't produce testosterone that much. They have to repair themselves, right? Inflammation, same thing. I always say this, inflammation and oxidative stress, one of the most, the bane of existence when it comes to producing testosterone, right? Another thing, these oils, they have a lot of omega-6s, omega-6 fatty acids. Now, these fucking dickheads in supermarkets, they will even tell you that, they will even use it as a marketing campaign, because people are so fucking dumb that they think that omega-6 is good because omega-3 is good and doctors say omega-3 is good. And they literally see omega-6s on the box and they buy that shit because they say, fuck, it's gonna be healthy for me, right? No, omega-6 is actually a pro-inflammatory compound. It's the thing that causes inflammation. When there's a bad omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, you get the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which is inflammation, which is different to the oxidative stress caused by ingesting the rancid. It's another mechanism, so even more fucking inflammation. Do you know what I mean? And bro, try it. Eat like fucking Mackie fries. Eat them and see how the fuck you feel. And keep that shit in mind. This is one of the biggest culprits, and it's very easy to avoid this. Because, bro, if you're in a party and you want to drink some beer or whatever, some alcohol, like, bro, once in a month, like, fucking hell, okay, fair enough. You want to have fun, you're a human being, you're young, whatever, like, you know, enjoy a bit, right? But this, you can literally just stop eating it. And let's talk about the substitutes, right? Because there's a lot of substitutes to this shit. You don't need to be using this at home. And in fact, you don't need, if you really want to fry something, right? There's a lot of alternatives you can use. So the first one, right, is tallow. Whether it's beef tallow, whether it's pig tallow, these things have about 200 degrees Celsius, even more in fact, 200 degrees Celsius smoking points, which is exactly the same as the rancid sunflower oil or the rancid canola oil that you use, right? Now, who the fuck uses tallow? Do you know what I mean? Like, sure, if you make your ground beef and there's a bit of tallow there, you have a bit of tallow, you can make your eggs on that. But like, who the fuck collects it to make tallow, right? So let's talk about number two. Number two is ghee. What is ghee? It's basically butter that has been, all the proteins have been taken away from it, right? Butter is about 83 to 80, 85, 82, something like that, percent fat, and the rest is the proteins from the milk. Ghee, they basically just took these proteins out, so it's left, I believe it's like 98, 99%. And this also has an extremely high smoking point. So if you really want to fry something, fry it on that. And number three, we're going to talk about coconut oil. Coconut oil, right? I think coconut oil is one of the most underestimated things there is. I use it as an anti-shave. I use it on my hands because I got like dry hands and stuff. But this is tremendous, right? This is really nice. You can add it to, you know, if you're frying meats that are, let's say, less fatty, because if you're frying beef, you might not need it. But yeah, those are the three alternatives. They're not going to cause that. Of course, these are saturated fats, right? So they are going to cause your LDL levels, but bro, like you want high LDL levels. Do you know what I mean? You want that shit. You want those, you know, those ships that transport the testosterone into the testicles. All right, done. So I think it's clear, bro. Don't do sunflower oils, right? Testosterone is such a tremendous. It's the golden fucking compound. It's the thing that makes you a man. And it's the thing that gives you the energy, that gives you the stable mood. It gives you the masculine, whatever, like aesthetics. It gives you the libido. It gives you the drive, right? Remember, biochemistry drives behavior, bro. So, and it's so easy. Just avoid that shit. And the amount of people who are ingesting that stuff on a daily basis, think about the fact that you're not doing it. Every single day you're winning. Every single day. By just using butter, by just avoiding the fucking Mackies and all that shit. And these guys in 10 years, in 15, 20 years, and imagine you in 10, 15 years, if you've been avoiding that stuff and still hitting the gym religiously and doing that stuff. Do you know what I mean? You're going to destroy these people. You're going to be like miles ahead. Every single day you win, right? So just do that. It's extremely important. I can't stress this enough. This will fuck up your fucking body. And just imagine how you feel when you eat that. Just like do it once and see how you feel. All right, done. So for the people who have remained until this far, below's a link. It's a link to my calendar. If you want to work with me one-on-one, there's a 3-month coaching package. I'm going to explain it all. This is a 30-minute basically free call where we get to know each other. We see if we vibe. If I see I always say this, if I see the characteristics that I can do it, because I'm not going to do, you know what I mean? Like if you're serious about the shit, if you have a reason, if you have a fucking reason, right, then I'm going to make you an offer and we can work together. You know, it's a very sort of individual coaching package. I'll tell you everything in that 30-minute call. But if you need help with biochemistry, whatever, psychology as well, spirituality, I always say this shit. Like you saw the picture of me at 17. Now, there's a lot more that went on. It wasn't just fixing my biochemistry. My psychology is fucked. The fucking traumas and all that bullshit, all the things that psychologists talk about. I've read the Youngs. I've read the fucking spiritual books. I've done the meditation. I've done the breathing. I've done the trauma release. I've done that shit. It took me 23 years to become a functioning human being. So if that shit, if you're inspired by that, tremendous, you have the link below. And for now, I'll see you next week, yeah? Bye, bro.